Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last day of 2025, and we have some insane news to end the year on. The Switch 2 is going to have a massive year in 2026, and when I think about it, it actually might be one of the best years in gaming history, well, at least for Nintendo. So let's go ahead and get into all these exciting updates. We have an exciting video. It is the last day of 2025. Thank you for being on this journey with me this entire year. I'm overly excited right now because we hit 25,000 subscribers. That's crazy. My unrealistic goal for this year was to hit 24,000 subscribers, but I thought I would probably end up somewhere around 23,000 if I was lucky. We almost have 25,100 subscribers, and I can't convey that I'm thankful enough. So we're gonna do some really cool giveaways very soon, so be on the lookout for that. But guys, we have a very exciting video today, and we're gonna have an even more exciting year in 2026 for the Switch 2. So before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, that would truly mean the world to me. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter so we can keep these amazing communities growing. And let's go and get right into this one. So let's start with a couple quicker updates before we get into some more exciting and crazier leaks, rumors, all that good stuff. First, I want to start with an official update coming from Nintendo themselves about Metroid Prime 4 and I guess the whole Metroid franchise. I'll be honest with you guys, I played the demo of this game and then I played a few hours at a family member's house and I still haven't picked up the game. I don't think the game is bad. I'm not one of those people who even think that it's not worth playing. It's just one of those games that I'll get to whenever I get to it. I'm not even the biggest Metroid fan, so I was excited for the game to come out for the people who were excited, but I just didn't care either way. But I think Metroid and Samus is a net positive in gaming, if that makes sense. I think Nintendo has kind of been dropping hints that Metroid Prime is going to continue as a franchise. Obviously, we'll always have 2D Metroid, I feel like, but Metroid Prime, you know, it's kind of a cursed franchise in my opinion. But they put out an official Metroid timeline, and it shows where Metroid Prime 4 comes in with all the other games. And Nintendo has restated that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond takes place in another dimension, not having an impact on the timeline of the 2D games in the series. The studio has also billed Metroid Prime 4 Beyond as a fresh start for the franchise that new players can jump into without having any prior experience with the Metroid Prime games. So I think that's them basically laying out this is a start of a new franchise, or for the franchise it's a new start, and they will build off Metroid Prime 4 with maybe another trilogy or maybe some spin-offs. But I think they're basically just saying, look, this is a new start for Metroid Prime and we're going to take it in some other directions. Now I want to jump over to some other Switch 2 news. One of the main problems that's plagued the Switch 2 since the inception basically, is the lack of dev kits. With the lack of dev kits, we have seen the lack of quite a few games that you would expect to come even day one, if not day one, maybe in the first couple months, especially from some really big developers. I think Nintendo basically said they were being very selective with dev kits because they didn't want any leaks before the console comes out. I understand that. Once a console is already out, it doesn't really make sense. And if I'm not mistaken, even Microsoft said they were having problem getting dev kits. But Nate the Hate says Switch 2 dev kit availability to third-party devs has largely been resolved. This is awesome, because if we were able to get all of these amazing games in 2025, if not releasing this year, or at least announced this year, if the dev kit problem is largely fixed, what do you think that means for 2026? This is the definition of that term, like the floodgates are opening up. That's how many games I could see coming in 2026. And I just think, we're going to go over a couple other things, but the Switch 2 is going to have truly one of the best years in gaming history in 2026. If they can also get that whole game key card aspect figured out and get more true physicals, it honestly might go down as like one of my favorite consoles of all time. And then quickly before we get into some other big news, another smaller update, which I think is still pretty big. The Nintendo Switch 2 has now outsold the Wii U, Sega Dreamcast, and PlayStation Vita in the UK. So it's not like the craziest records were broken, especially the Dreamcast one. I feel like they slipped that in there. There's probably a bunch of other consoles they could have slipped in, like the Game Gear and some other stuff. But yeah, the Switch 2 is just selling incredibly well. And I'm very excited to see the after holiday sales numbers, because I'm going to assume it broke a bunch of records, like some pretty substantial ones. But man, this console is doing incredibly well. So what is some of the biggest news I could possibly talk about right now, right? Maybe a new Nintendo game. And it's like, well, you know, there's a lot of new Nintendo games, but you know, there are those franchises from Nintendo. When you say one of those games, people's ears perk up, right? And there's Mario, which we'll probably get some big news here in the next month or two. Pokemon, it is what it is currently. What about Zelda? What if, I'm not even saying a new Zelda game is coming out. What if I said a new Zelda game just came out? Yeah, because that's what I'm talking about here. And it's not any old little Zelda game. It's Breath of the Wild. And you may say, well, Mr. Robot Joe, do you have amnesia? Is there a carbon monoxide? I think that's what it's called. Carbon monoxide leak in your house? Are you hallucinating? No, Breath of the Wild just came out in a major way. And what I'm talking about is Zelda Breath of the Wild VR. So this has been being built for 5 years, and it was deemed impossible at the start. I have maybe played 2 VR games my entire life. I don't even care that much. I'm not even kidding. This is something that I could see myself spending money on just to be able to play in VR. Am I going to do that? No. But it's something that I could sit there and actually think about in a real way. There's hands and arm support. You can drip yourself out in the fanciest clothes, fully and physically wield weapons, torches, and bobblekin arms into combat. Gesture to equip and throw weapons. Use motion controls to interact with the world to solve puzzles or start fires. There's a third person mode that's optional. A bunch of mod support on top of all this stuff. And some people are saying this has the best physics in any VR game ever. So obviously on the screen right now, I'll be showing some of these clips. There's some stuff you could do in this game, and it's like, yeah, I wonder what this looks like in VR. But you know, obviously gamers gotta be gamers. So yeah, people had to go check out the Great Fairy in VR. I gotta say, I think I'm a fan of this, and I really could see myself visiting the Great Fairy Fountain pretty much daily. But this is really cool, man. I think this is a modern gaming marvel. I think it's incredible what people can do when they are led by passion. And is Nintendo going to be happy about this? No, but I have covered a couple patents, actually quite a bit in the past 12 months, where it seems like Nintendo's working on something new VR related that is not the Virtual Boy. So maybe we'll start getting real Mario and Zelda games in VR during the Switch 2 generation, because this just looks so damn cool. Now, we covered a leak, I want to say 2 or 3 days ago, and I said I don't really care about the franchise, but I didn't want that to come off as like it's a bad franchise or anything. But I was talking about Monster Hunter, and then we were talking about a port of Monster Hunter Wilds coming over to the Switch 2. But over the past couple days, I've been reading more into it, and it turns out there's even more information in there that basically confirms a Switch 2 port is coming. So some of the new information that just came out is the Switch 2 version has its own DLSS presets, and the regular version of the game includes presets A through C. So that basically points out that there's like definitely 2 different versions here, and there is in fact a Switch 2 version. But a major update for this, the Switch 2 version is including local multiplayer support. So I cannot tell you if the regular game has that. I would assume so, but I really don't know. But this is huge, and I think this would be very exciting on the Switch 2. And local multiplayer, I feel like would be a tremendous way to play this game. So much that it's like, if I got a free copy and I had the opportunity to play with somebody, I think I could find myself having a lot of fun. So this is going to be one of those miracle ports we get on the Switch 2. But the way Capcom and Nintendo are supporting each other, it's almost like, yeah, if anybody can get it done, they can get it done. So I'm very interested to see how this will all turn out. Now let's get into a crazy ass leak coming directly from Nintendo. And if this means what I think it means, this could be pointing at that next generation refresh. Not what I'm trying to say. That mid-gen refresh, or just a new version of the Switch 2, a new model, something. But essentially, I think this is pointing at a better Switch 2. So this patent is for an electronic apparatus set. And this was published December 30th, which is the day I'm recording this video. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on, but I've actually got pretty decent at looking at patents and understanding the weird language that this stuff is wrote in. And essentially what this is for the touch panel of the screen. This patent is essentially showing a new version of that, which is just way better all the way around. And what they're doing is constant monitoring, detecting a change when a touch occurs through an electrical charge at a specific point. This is going to be, I guess, just better. It's going to pinpoint the location even better with sensors around the screen that measure the location and intensity. Then a processor that interrupts these coordinates to register the touch and perform the desired action on the display will also be enhanced some way, somehow. So essentially, it just looks like they're making a better touchscreen. If I had to guess for anything, I'm going to say the Switch 2 OLED. And you know, when you go back and look at the Switch OLED, around that time we were all speculating about a Switch Pro. Now, I kind of feel like the Switch OLED was a Switch Pro, but I actually just watched that Scott the Woz video about Pro consoles, and then it had me rethinking how I thought about it, I guess. And we got a better screen, a better stand. I don't know if the battery was better. I want to say it was, but we didn't get more RAM or anything, so it was essentially the same power as the Switch. And around that time, games are really starting to show that they were struggling sometimes on the Switch. Like a lot of those third-party ports that we got, but it kind of didn't make sense to get. When we get the Switch 2 OLED, which 100% is going to happen, it's going to have a better battery. I think the screen will be the same size, but the bezels will probably be smaller. Maybe some of the RAM that is like held off for the operating system, I think it's like 3 gigabytes of RAM. Maybe some of that will be finessed in a way that some games can use that, like turn off game chat or something else, and then we'll have more RAM. And then the touchscreen will probably even be better as well. And hell, maybe even the Joy-Cons. And I've also seen some stuff where I think we're going to get a different dock for the Switch 2 sometime, maybe with the OLED model as well. But I truly think Nintendo has some surprises. Maybe even the Switch 2 Lite will have some surprises. But what we're seeing right now with the Switch 2 we have is the base and the basics of what we're going to get. But I think Nintendo, man, I feel like they have some tricks up their sleeve that we're definitely going to see probably sooner than later. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this? Because your opinion matters most. So in the comments below, I would truly love to hear from you guys. And also, it just means the world, man. We hit 25,000 subscribers. That's cool. Now we got to get to 50, then 100, which sounds like an impossible task. But I know it sounds crazy. 100,000 subscribers is my goal for 2026. And I'm going to do what I can to hit that. And with your support, I truly think it's possible. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for all the support. It means more than I can convey, like I said earlier. But I hope eventually you feel how much I appreciate it. I hope you feel like you're part of a real community over here. And I have some big surprises in 2026. I'm going to level up the videos every single way possible. Better reviews, better equipment, cooler ideas. And we're gonna have our breakout year. So hit a like and subscribe if you could. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you could. And consider becoming a channel member. It's the last day of the year and I just need one more channel member to hit our goal. If it doesn't happen, I'm still extremely thankful. But if it did happen, it would be a lot cooler. And you guys know me, I'll see you very soon with a new video. Peace.